On this episode of the Naturist Living Show, Winter Visitors.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show is brought to you by Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. At Bare Oaks, we offer traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Free your body, free your mind. www.bareoaks.ca.
Welcome, dear listener, to episode 87 of the Naturist Living Show. My name is Stéphane Deschaines. I'm your host for this podcast and the owner of Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park, where I'm recording this right now. It's the fall and the weather is still very lovely, but of course soon, this is Canada, we will get cold and snow. We're fairly far south, so not nearly as much as places like Winnipeg or Quebec City, or would I get a lot of snow and a lot of cold, but still we get snow and it's cold in the winter. But we are open year round and we do operate all year round, much slower, much more quietly, but we have indoor spaces. If you've been here, you know about the hot tub and the saunas, and the restaurant has got limited hours, and people like to sit by the fire and watch TV, read a book, chat, maybe have a glass of wine. And go for walks in the winter with clothes on, of course, because it is cold. But it's beautiful in the forest, and it's lovely to snowshoe. And then afterwards, it's great to sit in the hot tub or in the sauna and sweat, and then sit by the fire and warm up and relax. So we do have some visitors, but I was very taken aback when a group contacted us last year. It's 2016 right now, if you're listening to this in the future. So it was in the fall of 2015 and made a reservations for basically every room we had for a large group to come and visit, not once, but several times. Of course, we take the money up front for the reservations, so we were happy to take them. And we do get full on weekends when people occasionally want to get away. So we only have 5 guest rooms that people can rent that are all year round. But this was quite unusual, and so we weren't quite sure what to expect. But I was incredibly pleasantly surprised. The organizer, who doesn't want his real name used, so we'll just call him Richard, puts this together and invites a whole bunch of first-timers in most cases, not established naturists. Some come from fairly far away, and they come for an intensive experience. And what's wonderful is not just that Richard brings people that have never participated in naturism and are just rediscovering themselves. It's almost like a form of therapy. But he brings young people, and he brings a lot of a great mix of minorities and different people from different backgrounds, which is great to see, because it always bothers me that we are so homogeneous here at Bare Oaks, despite being in a Toronto area, which has a fantastic mix of people from all parts of the world and all backgrounds. And there's not enough of that. There's some, but there's not enough of that. We are much, much wider than really is realistic considering the population of Toronto. So it was great to see all these folks coming in with different backgrounds, culturally, but also different backgrounds in terms of their experience and what they were trying to do. And I may have found people who are actually more hardcore than I am. I'll keep up with them, but I wasn't as quick to push the boundaries. They come in the winter, and they go out there in the freezing weather, and they douse themselves with water, and they play games outdoors, and they spend sometimes hours outdoors in below freezing weather in the snow. They were skating on the lake, all clothes free, in order to, as in the original movement, the beginning of this movement was about strengthening your body, and they are into that. They're into pushing their bodies so their bodies can become stronger and more tolerant. And it works. I mean, they weren't really cold at this. I mean, they were with sunshine. You can stay relatively comfortable, but also with activity. And so they were a very interesting group. We had them many times, and they're coming back again this year for several more visits. So I sat down during one of those visits, I think it was in January of 2016, and talked to some of their participants about what they thought it was like. Not all of them, some of them were shy, but a few of them were quite willing to share their thoughts and ideas and discuss the meaning of what they were doing with me. So I'm here at Bare Oaks with a very mysterious group organized by Richard Always of people, mostly women this time. There was some men last time. And and I'm talking with Stephanie, right?
Mm-hmm. Stephanie Burrell.
Nice to meet you, Stephanie. Is this your first time here?
No, this is actually my second time here.
And
Back for it again.
how did you first end up coming here? What made you come up with the group?
We organized trips to Maine, Portland, Maine, and this year we decided to come to Toronto. So I signed up to come back in November. Was my first time, and I had a good time, a good experience here, and so I wanted to come back to Bare Oaks.
Well, it's interesting. There's people from a little bit spread out around the U.S., mostly New England right now, and Winnipeg as well this time. But I think there's been people from as far as California, right, in the past?
Correct, yeah. San Francisco. We had some people come in from Chicago. There are people from all over who are a part of the group. It just depends on who signs up for what trip, and Richard organizes them, and then we come.
So, does your group have a name?
No name. We're just friends of friends who tell people. No official identity, but we all just love naturism, which is what brings us here. Most people here today have experienced it before. It's not their first time, and it's an experience you get. Like in New York, nudity is not legal, so it's not something we get to do often. So. Yeah, it's just nice to be able to come, take your clothes off, and just be free for a couple days.
Now, you're not just regular naturists, because outside there's a shower set up and it's well below freezing and there's snow everywhere. What are you guys doing out there?
Well, we are challenging ourselves. So we experience hot. We go into the saunas and the steam rooms, but then we also challenge ourselves to go outside, which is why we choose Toronto, because it's cold, and it gives our bodies. You're surprised that your body can handle the cold. You can go out, you can take a 20-minute walk in negative degree weather, and learn that you can survive. So it's a survival thing too. It's not just like, oh, we're taking our clothes off. We're learning how to survive as well.
Now, there's people listening right now that say, you're crazy. They said they've been naturists. I can tell you people listening have been naturists for decades, and they said there's no way you can do that.
Well, I would tell them to try it. Like, test it, experiment.
So you don't get cold?
You do get cold, but you learn that heat escapes from your head. Heat escapes from your hands. So as long as your head and your hands and your feet are covered, you're able to keep going. So you can go out for a few minutes. I mean, you can't stay out there forever. You'll get frostbite, but you can go take a short walk. And it's actually invigorating. It's good for you. So
do you feel exhausted when you come back?
Not exhausted. I feel more exhausted coming out of the steam room than I do coming out from the cold. So coming back in from the cold.
And I think the last time, I don't know if you were here, there was, you folks were also skating without any clothes on.
Yes, that was fun. Yeah, we had a chance to put on some ice skates and go skating. I mean, it's just like regular skating, just without clothes.
Now, people are going to say, how can I join your group? And how can that happen?
I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know
He doesn't
how he
really
feels
want
about advertisements.
You can't.
I'm like,
he doesn't
well,
want it to be advertised, so you can say something about it. How did?
Yeah. So each person tells everyone who's been brought in the group has been brought in from someone who's attended the trip. Most people, and so through that way you can have access to these trips.
So it's not something that they can search out on the internet, or there's no website they can join or anything?
No, it's all word of mouth. It's all a inner circle situation.
Oh, that sounds really exclusive. Like
It is.
it's like a
very exclusive.
special exclusive country club or something, or society, a secret society, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's how it feels. That's how it feels. And it's a bunch of magical women. Every time when you go on one of the trips, I always meet great people, people who are doing wonderful work in all professions. So it's nice to also get to know the other people that come.
So what do you know? What kind of professions are represented in your group?
Well, we have filmmakers, we have people working in the fashion industry, we have people working in healthcare, we have people working in design, banking, we have politicians in the group. We have people who, IT. So it varies, you know. It's all walks of life.
So
That's what's beautiful about naturism is it all walks of life.
right, and you can't tell. I'm looking around, and I could never guess what anybody's profession is, or whether you are rich or poor or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what's beautiful about it.
So, you said as a politician, so also the fact who's a member is also a secret. It really is a secret society, isn't it?
Yeah. And they're actually very secretive. Like they want to keep that side of themselves separate, so they don't blast it out. You know, don't put it on Facebook or social media. You know, so they kind of keep it private so that they can have some sense of decency. But then also they actually. Well, that's not entirely true because they have given talks in support of naturism at the same time. So I think it's also important to have people like that in the group so that they can advocate for naturism and in a more professional way to kind of to make laws and statutes that support naturism.
So, presumably, a friend of yours is put you in contact with the group?
Yes, she's here today.
So she said, "Hey, Stephanie, do you want to go and like get naked in the snow and get really cold and stuff?" And you said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Well, actually, it did kind of go like that. She was like, "Hey, I'm going on this nudist trip. You want to go?" And at the time, I was in a point in my life where I was saying yes to everything. So I was just like, yes. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't know anything about Richard. I didn't know anything about Maine. I just followed something in me. Was just like, go ahead, go. Like, you're going to enjoy it. So I did, and I did enjoy it.
There was no part of you that said, "This is a little nuts. I'm not sure if I feel comfortable."
Well, I was a little apprehensive about the cold. I was like, man, it's not New York cold. This is really cold. It was negative temperatures in Maine at the time. So it was different, but coming from an athletic background and knowing that what your body can handle, and knowing that I've been in cold temperatures before and survived as a kid being out in the snow, you know, all the time. Like, I'm like, okay, I can handle it. So it was, like I said, it was very invigorating. Like, my body it's amazing what the human body can do.
That's cool. Anything else you want to say?
If you have never tried naturism, you should. You should. It's very freeing. I think that part of it was my best part, feeling liberated. So it's a very.
So, what is naturism to you?
Naturism is letting go.
That's very short, but that says an awful lot. Letting go of what?
Everything. So it's being free. It's being bare.
But you can do that at home by yourself, can't you?
We do it at home by ourselves, but something about doing it in front of someone else makes us have a little bit more fear behind it. But for me, when I was with other women and men too, and seeing like different body types and then everyone being comfortable with themselves, that inspired me. That made me feel more free being around other people who were willing to do it too. So in that way, it's just liberating.
And your group seems relatively young as well.
Yeah, we're all young. We're all spring chickens.
Well, you know, the story in the media, it's only old people that are in naturism, right? So what do you think of that?
Well, we're revolutionaries, so we're trying to let people know that we are, although we don't fit the typical demographic, we are here. We're a part of this too.
Well, I would say it's not necessarily an atypical demographic here at Bear Oaks, but it is in a lot of clubs. And so do any of your group ever go to Naturist Park, nude beaches, anything like that on their own?
You know, I'm not sure, but I have. I'm not sure what people do when they're not with the group, but I know I do. So
And when you go, is it different than when you're with the group?
it is. It is. And it also depends on who I'm with, too. But I noticed that no matter where I go, I'm going to probably get stares just because I look different anyway. But I've never experienced anything bad. Like, no one's ever treated me wrong, or it's kind of like, oh,
What do you mean?
glad to see you here. Like,
How do you look different? Like because you're young, or because you're in good shape? What do you mean?
Because I'm young, I'm woman, I'm black, I'm queer, so I'm all these things at the same time. And yeah, it is. You don't typically see that, so people are always interested. Like, and then it's always been a great experience.
So I can't tell you're queer by looking at you, but
Yeah.
I can tell you're black. I can tell you're a woman. I can tell you're young. Why do you think all these things make people look at you?
Because it's something that is not. I don't want to say typical, because for me it's typical, but it's not. Naturism is a white male, older white male dominated thing. So when someone outside of that norm comes in, it raises some curiosity. So.
Well, and so because people can't see, we're surrounded by non-white males. Mm-hmm. Not male, not white. Mm-hmm. So your group is breaking that mold as well, and how, which is wonderful, because it is a problem. I agree. Do you think there's racism within naturism?
Well, there's racism in everything. That's the world that we live in. And so for us to be people, like I said, we're revolutionaries. We're willing to put ourselves out there, and we're willing to go take a step into these places, even though we're not there all the time. So I think that it's what we're doing is important.
You seem very accepting of the fact there's racism and everything. Like, that's just the way it is.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't be on this trip if I was accepting of it. So I don't accept racism.
Good.
But I'm not. I don't let that govern my life. I understand who I am, and I understand my place in this world. So I try to, not let anybody else dictate where and what I can do.
So did you ever feel you didn't belong in naturism because it looked so white?
No, I actually didn't know anything about naturism before I got into it. So it was something that when I actually went, I was like, oh, okay, it is a lot of old white men here. But again, that never deferred, that never made me not want to come.
So what would you say to people if people look at the websites, the pictures, the magazines, the videos about naturism, and they only saw basically white people? What would you say to people who weren't white? Should they try it, or is it as intimidating as it looks?
I think people in general should try it, but I think it's important for us to create our own spaces as well, where we do feel comfortable. We don't always have to go to places where there are white people. I think it's also important for us to create spaces that are non-white as well.
And if people who run clubs want to make sure that they attract everybody in society, what should they do different?
I think things that we're doing now, just telling people, getting the word out that this exists. I think a lot of times people don't know it exists. So in that way, I think that's a way to get more people who aren't white in.
Well, some people have said that people who aren't white, I guess people who are African Americans is probably what they were talking about, culturally are less comfortable being nude. Do you think that's true?
No. I don't think that's true. Just because ancestrally, I think that, and it's not just African American. I don't want to just make it an African American thing, a black thing. I think brown people, all indigenous cultures, we've come from a history of just having a very nature oriented way of life. So I think that just from that, we connect with naturism from that way. Like, all right, we are a people who appreciate the land. So that's how I look at naturism anyway. It's like I'm connecting with land. I'm connecting with earth. I'm connecting with the moon. I'm connecting with the sun. I'm connecting with the snow. Today we connected with the snow. So it's like, it's more than just being naked. It's a connection, a very indigenous connection.
It's an interesting thing you say, because there's a native band north of here called the Chippewas of Georgina Island, and one of them I connected with, and he came here to do a sweat lodge, a Native American sweat lodge, and he did it nude, which is the way it's traditionally been done. But he says that the band actually is very much against that. They're even against the sweat lodge, because he feels that it's the Europeans have imposed these ideas on cultures that never used to be ashamed of their bodies. And so he very much feels more pressure actually from the band to not do this than he does from the rest of mainstream society.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting.
The first one of the first English language books that was written by Dr. Maurice Parmalee in 1927, and he actually believes that nudity would help get rid of some of the differences between, not just between genders, that was one of his points, but between races, because part of it's not just our color or our features or anything, but we dress differently to, identify differently. There's roles that people used, especially back then. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I can see that. I think when you don't have clothes, like, you have nothing to hide behind. So I think you get to see a person just as a human being, like, okay, I can't impress you with, a nice pair of jeans or a nice shirt or, some whatever, like whatever we put on that is a possession. We're just here ourselves, like I said, bare. So we have no choice but to connect with each other as humans and have a conversation.
So I really did enjoy having them. I look forward to seeing them again, chatting with them, and getting to know them. And I love the fact that Richard keeps organizing this and helping people find themselves and heal and become better people. So I think that's one thing him and I have in common. So that will be all for this episode of the Naturist Living Show. I really appreciate you listening. My name is Stéphane Deschênes again, and I'm your host for the podcast and the owner of Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. And if you want to learn more about what we've talked about, there will be links in the show notes. Unfortunately, I can't give you links to Richard's group because it's a private group, and I'm not sure how they find themselves, but they do. But it's a sort of an invitation-only group. So if you find this interesting or you have any other thoughts or ideas, please send me an email. The show's email address is naturistliving, one word, at bareoaks.ca. That's, of course, B-A-R-E, and .ca because we're in Canada. Or you can call and leave a comment dialing country code 1, area code 905-473-6060, or toll free in North America, 1-888-373-9124, or Skype Bear Oaks, one word, and then extension 333. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and that you'll be joining us again for the next episode of the Naturist Living Show.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show was brought to you by Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. Traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Traditional values means that naturism is more than just taking your clothes off. It is a life philosophy with physical, psychological, environmental, social, and moral benefits. Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park strives to promote those naturist values in a modern setting that provides the amenities and services that our members and visitors expect. Free your body, free your mind. Learn more at www.bareoaks.ca. Namaste.